We're going to kick it off today with a 6-time author. This is her 5th book with the Difference Press, and it is the final book in her Soulful Truth Telling series. I just want to welcome to the red carpet, Sharon Pope. Hello. Not your first time at this rodeo.
It's not. No,
welcome back.
Fun.
So Why Isn't This Marriage Enough is your 5th book in the Soulful Truth Telling series. Why did you write this book?
So each of my books are a love letter to very specific people, specific clients. And this was a client who I had various forms of her come to me in lots of different ways. And it was the marriage and life that looked really great from the outside. And she had the perfect house and the perfect husband, and the kids are thriving and everything seems to be great, but she's feeling lost and alone, and she's trying to figure out, why isn't she happy? Why isn't everything that she has enough? Because anyone else would look at her life and think she's got it made.
So powerful. Well, we got a lot of questions for you, but April wrote in, and I thought you might be able to shed some light on this for her. April wanted to know if the process of writing your books has changed anything about the way you were doing business. So you've been writing books for a couple of years now. How are you different as a coach?
Well, I know my client at a much more intimate level now. I know exactly what they're struggling with, what they're up in the middle of the night Googling. I mean, if you think about where you and I were a year and a half ago at the first book, I was like, let's talk about love and life and business and
truth telling.
Yeah. Now it's just all love and relationships, and no one ever calls a love coach when everything's going great. So it's all troubled love relationships or healing from broken hearts.
And Renette also wrote in, she wanted to know, how do you keep focused when you have so many great ideas that you want to write about and have your books not come across as random thoughts? I think you've done an exceptional job of that, and maybe you can give Renette some of your tips.
Well, Renette, so I think Angela said at the beginning, I had 6 books and 5 of them are written with the Difference Press. There's a big difference between, there's a pun there. There's a big difference between the 5 books I wrote with Difference Press and then the one that I did on my own. So the one that I did on my own was all of my random thoughts of the things that I wanted to talk about. But that's not necessarily what the reader needs to hear or can even receive. They're not ready to receive that necessarily. So there's a really big difference in just, and this is what writers want to do. We want to write. We want to sit down and write about the things we love to write about. But your process just keeps that in line so that you don't go off on all these tangents. You get really crystal clear about who you're serving and how to show up for them.
Well, and I think that's part of why there are 5 books in the series, because for a lot of people that might have been one book. I want to write everything I know about love.
Right. And so there are very specific iterations of, it's not just this broad thing about love. Like, this is, everything looks perfect from the outside and feels empty and alone inside. That's not everyone's experience. I have other experiences where, like the book I wrote that was Am I in the Wrong Marriage? Is like, they're really in the questioning, do I stay or do I go? When you're in the, is this enough? You're not ready to like walk out. You think there might be a way to save this, but you just don't know how. Yeah. And then, I've written books for people who want love that don't have it. People who've just come out of a divorce or a breakup that left them brokenhearted. So they're very, very specific, and you've got to speak to that audience right where they're at in order to bring them through. And so that's the beauty of this process.
Renette, I think you have more than one book in you. That's my guess.
Sorry.
We found 5 in Sharon, and she's about to start number 6.
I only have one more baby to birth.
Well, thank you so much. Sharon Pope's Why Isn't This Marriage Enough? Download a copy. This one might be hard to recommend, but if you have a special friend or a sister, yes, exactly. Do not send this to strangers. Thanks, Sharon.